going
There we go.
live, Pete. You know, I always warn you. I've never once gone live without telling you, Pete.
Gone live without telling you.
Maybe once.
Without telling you. Maybe once.
Echoing again in Matt's computer.
Echoing again in
Oh.
Matt's computer.
Just hang on.
Jeez. Turn the volume down. All right. That's better. It's always you.
Yes. Well,
It's always you. That's okay. The viewers are used to it. All right. Welcome back to the Lovecraft Easing podcast. Pete was just telling us about all the
Podcast.
deals on books we've had that he's got. I mean, any others you want to mention?
No, but if anybody hasn't looked, I've dumped a lot of stuff on the Arkham Book Exchange for like $5 just to clear the shelves.
That's on Facebook for those who don't know.
Yeah.
It's a group.
Pete, just
Yeah.
let me interrupt real quick. You threw out a couple of Usher's passings there. Those are not autographed, right?
No, no.
Okay.
But they are firsts, but they're not. Yeah.
I think I've got one of those from you already.
Yeah,
But if you had an autographed Usher's passing, I'd snap.
Yeah.
it.
You
That's
got my
McCammon,
stinger.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want dibs on the burnt offerings, Pete. If that
It's
hasn't
gone
happened.
already.
Ah, crap. I've been looking for that.
Oh,
Gone faster than a Fleischer Superman, by God.
I'll show you what I did find.
Check your mail.
Yeah, Pete's got the coolest bookstore on Facebook.
Yeah, it's true. Arkham Book Exchange, people.
Ah, nice.
Oh wow.
In
Eyes
really
of
nice
the-
shape. It's really all the ones that I see online are just in tatters or book clubs, and this has got the scales on it, and the metal is still there, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet.
I got a copy of that.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a song
Anyway.
about that? Eyes of the Dragon, something like that.
That was I had a tiger. Yeah.
Well, even DeBronzo is saying that's a bad joke. Hey, we have Kelly Young on the show today, Mike DeBronzo, Bridget Brenmark, Mark Rainey, Pete Rollick, Alan Hughes, Matt Carpenter, and me, Mike Davis. What's up, guys? What are we going to talk about today? We don't have a guest today.
Oh. But I do have a prize.
All right.
All right. This is a book of comic book art by Oscar Knorzer from his comic strip Sandra and Wu. And it's very attractive style comic book art. If you like this sort of thing, it's brightly colored, especially if you're a fan of this particular strip. I think it's about this girl and her raccoon or something. To send an email to easingprizes@gmail.com and put Sandra in the subject line. We'll draw a winner in about 8 weeks. Who knows? You might win it.
A girl and her raccoon. How did you acquire this literary masterpiece?
No clue. It's downstairs in a stack of stuff, and I don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
Wait till you see some other stuff I got to get rid of. Oh, my Lord.
Pete, the Cthulhu Heresy, and what else? You guys, if you've not picked up the Cthulhu Heresy by Pete Rollick, you should do that. And
The Cthulhu Heresy is my short story collection from Weird House.
yeah.
And then the Spontaneous Generation is my kids' book.
Right. I've heard of that book. And then Cthulhu Heresy right there. Matt's got it. It's also on Kindle Unlimited, I believe, Pete. I think.
I don't know. Nobody tells me nothing.
And then Mark has
Telling you now.
We're telling you now. Exactly. Mark has a pre-order. Stephen Mark Rainey. You can pre-order his book, and it's about a friendly. I shouldn't say that. What's the title of that book?
It's the house. It's the house at Blacktooth Pond, which is kind of a haunted house story and kind of a with a touch of cosmic horror, I suppose.
So, Mark,
very entertaining.
Is this going to be in hardcover ever, or is it like paperback or Kindle?
I don't know I don't know that it's going to be in hardback. It's scheduled for paperback, Kindle, and audio.
Audio, that's good.
Yeah, it'll be audio with Joshua Saxon is the narrator, who's one of my favorites. He did Blue Devil Island, and he recently did Paul Wilson's The Upwelling, which that's actually the last book I completed on audio, which I liked a lot. I actually have some books I wanted to mention when you had said about favorite books of 2024.
Sure, we can start with that. Hello to, let's see, Donna, Kim, Chaz. Who else is watching live here that's commented? Anyway, hello to everyone watching live. Hello to everyone watching later or listening later. So yeah, let's start with that. You've read a few books and horror books in 2024 that you want to talk about, and thank you for joining us, Kelly. Good to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I always love it.
Yeah, of course. I should have told you what the topics were, but I thought,
Yeah, I was like, let me look at what I bought this year.
yeah, I told everybody but you. I forgot. Yeah, okay, I didn't
Yeah.
loop you into that email chain, but that's okay.
I don't
I want to see
know
how
if
you
it's
can think on the
appropriate.
fly.
I don't know if it's appropriate that Kelly's here because I know you have your edict about not being complimentary to like people on the show and that kind of thing.
That's not true. It's only certain people,
So,
and
yeah.
and myself. I don't compliment myself either. That's
Oh
okay.
yeah. God help us if Langan should show up. But
There's a merch
anyway,
link. There's a merch link in the show notes, and you can have one of these.
yeah.
Alan has
Which-
one. Mark has
And
one.
yeah, I got one.
Yeah. Where's yours, Kelly?
Do you make wine glasses?
I've been thinking of
You should.
branching off in that.
You
Oh, yeah.
should do that.
Yeah.
You should.
You
There
can
you go.
put wine in this, as I have.
Mhm. There you go. Or you can put scotch in it too. A couple of fingers.
You
Yeah,
know I don't
neat.
like scotch.
Yeah. Well.
I've got some Baileys in this one. So
Oh, do you?
yeah,
There you go.
That sounds yummy.
it's pretty good. I mean, it's coffee, but I loaded it up. I loaded it up with some Baileys. So.
It's Irish coffee. So, all right. Sorry, Mark. Go on.
Oh well, I actually typed out some. Otherwise, I absolutely will forget. And this may this may be rude. I don't know. Number one on the list is The Secret Language of Spiders by some guy. That was probably the most fun and most riveting little tale that actually I don't get the creeps when I'm reading, but some of the descriptions in that thing really kind of gave me the creeps. So, and that
No,
was that
I
actually
agree.
did that actually come out in 2024? It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
That may
wow,
be
holy
the
cow.
only book on the list that actually came out this year because I usually am so far behind, and right behind that I had Langan's The Fisherman, which
Well,
that
just
goes back a
one
few
second. I'm
years.
sorry. For those who don't know, it's The Secret Language of Spiders by K.L. Young. You can look it up on Amazon that way. So, I'm sorry. You were talking about The Fisherman.
Yeah, that was my other top book, I think, single book. But it goes back a few years though, doesn't it? That's not a 2024
Like
book.
2015 or 17.
Yeah,
right?
it goes back. But
It seems to be one of those books, though, that the last year or so, it's having another, I don't know what you want to say, moment, but a lot of a lot of people are still reading it, so.
I feel
yeah,
like I'm ready for a reread of that. I thought that was just a masterpiece.
mhm,
I agree.
yeah.
I
I
really
went through. Sorry, I was going to say I went through all of the audiobooks that of F. Paul Wilson's Repairman Jack and Adversary cycle. So that took 6 months out of the year of
You're
doing all
welcome,
that.
Paul.
But
You're welcome.
yeah, I had I read The Keep years and years and years ago, but I hadn't really read the Repairman Jack books. And so once I read The Tomb, actually I'd started The Tomb, I think, years and years ago. But I got hooked immediately, so that became a project I was going to read, or at least on audio. I listened to them on audio, but I went through the entire run of those.
It's a really fun series for those who haven't read it yet, and it's got the cosmic horror element in it, and it's not a good versus evil Derlethian thing. It's true cosmic horror. But also, you know, a guy named Jack who fixes things for people. People go to him when they can't go anywhere else. You know, kind of like the Equalizer, right?
Rather, yeah.
Yeah.
My least favorite of the year was the one called "Hi, My Name Is Mike" by Mike Davis. It's extremely short and extremely boring because it says, "Hi,
Thank you.
my name is Mike." I did a book cover for it. I think
Oh, I remember that now.
I think
Yeah.
I think I actually deleted it.
Well, I can't believe you didn't like it, but okay. Any others
Well,
you want to mention?
honorable mention goes to Matthew Bartlett. I read his Gateways to Abomination, and that was unique. I loved the fact that it felt like a whole lot of disconnected vignettes, and yet they had these common weird threads flowing through them, some of which would connect later, some which wouldn't. It was fascinating, really fascinating read.
I just want to mention one while I'm thinking about it. I had mentioned reading this book, which is by David Goodis. It's 5 noir novels of the 1940s and 50s, and it's really good if you're into noir. And I had mentioned it on one of my social medias, I think on YouTube, and Donna, one of my patrons who's watching live today, actually, mentioned Angel Heart. And then she mentioned a book called Falling Angel. I love Angel Heart. I haven't seen it in a really long time. But I did not know. It was totally beneath my radar. I did not know it was based on a book. And I'm reading the book. I'm a third of the way through it. I'm really enjoying it. It's called Falling Angel by
Yeah, William Holtzberg.
yeah.
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 I knew it was. I've never read it though. I'd probably ought
It's
to
worth
check it out.
reading, even if you've seen the movie.
Mhm.
Because there's stuff in there.
Yeah, I
that,
love the movie. I do.
Yeah, and there's also stuff in there that didn't make it to the movie, which is it's dark. It's a dark.
I just went through one scene that I wonder if it's what you were talking about. This guy gets killed in a certain way. That's
The
pretty
one
dark.
I think the play. It's been years since I've read it, but I think the scene I'm talking about happens maybe 3/4 of the way into the book.
Okay.
So
Darker than that, then. Okay.
So, have any of you read Angel's Inferno?
Is that the second
No.
book?
Yes, the second book about the guy, about Harry Angel. It's written years after. I've got a copy. I just have never opened it.
You're just waiting to give it away on the podcast.
No, I don't know where the hell it is. Honest to God.
Anyway,
You think I make this up? I have no idea where this shit is.
it's noir. It's horror. It's really great. Thanks for bringing it to my attention, Donna. So anyone else out there, it's on Kindle as well. It was actually pretty inexpensive, like $6 on Kindle, something like that. So anyway, who else wants to talk about books that they've read this year that they really enjoyed?
I was just going to say, if I read the book of Angel Heart, I'm going to have to put the soundtrack on in the background, though, because it's just so awesome.
I don't remember it.
Oh, come on. It's everything you want from noir saxophone. It's great.
Why am I not surprised that Bridget focuses on soundtracks and films?
I'll pull it up. That's a good idea. Read it. Have it playing while I read the book. So
Actually, the soundtrack increased the impact of that movie like almost immeasurably in terms of setting moods and disturbing undercurrents.
gosh, I need to
It's so
rewatch.
good.
I need to rewatch it, but it's been about 20 years. But I'm gonna wait until I finish the book, and then I'll rewatch the movie.
Been about that long since I've seen the movie too, but I remember really liking it.
I get it on DVD.
We saw it on movie night a year or two ago.
Robert De Niro in that film.
Oh yeah, it's like when you say like, who's your best on-screen Satan? He always tops my list.
There's two
He's
others I'd
great.
throw in though.
What's
Vigo
that?
Mortensen. I'd say besides him, Vigo in
Peter
The Prophecy,
Yeah,
and Stormhair and Stormhair, or however you pronounce his last name.
Mare.
And Constantine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
He's great Satan.
No Ernest Borgnine in The Devil's Reign.
You could
He's-
throw Al Pacino in there too.
Mm,
So I do like the actor in Lucifer.
Yeah, you know, but
Yeah,
when
I'll
you,
have
when you
to
have
watch that.
actors portraying Satan, don't you have most of them are going for the real, you know, erotic type Satan, like the guy in Lucifer, or some of them are, and then others like what's his name, Stormare, is just
It's like the animalistic,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
violent,
Super gross and creepy.
yeah.
you know, just great.
You're all wrong.
there's Satan right there.
That's
There
why
he
I do
is.
this show.
Best devil. The best devil is Elizabeth Hurley.
Oh, come on.
And
Oh, come on.
Bedazzled.
Oh, it's the original guy. Who's the original guy in Bedazzled? The guy who wrote the movie.
Peter Cook.
Yeah, he's my number 3.
What?
This is a full topic, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we all agree on number 1 or no, Stormare?
You never all agree. Everyone likes something a little different. I mean,
It's okay to disagree,
yeah,
but it's Stormare.
Yeah, exactly.
you obviously have not seen the original Bedazzled. Where
nor will I.
I've seen it ages ago.
Yeah, I've
Yeah, same.
never seen
Long
it.
time ago.
Dudley Morse says, "I can grant you 7 wishes," and he says, "Okay, I wish for a frozen raspberry ice lolly." I says, "Great," and he walks him down the street to a guy selling ice cream and buys him an ice lolly. Here you go.
Gosh, I can't believe no one's brought up George Burns yet.
Now, comedic Satans, I like Ray Walston and Damn Yankees. That's it.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen wasn't my. I didn't like that movie so much. I mean, he did good with the part, but I didn't really care for that movie.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the person playing
Which movie
the
was
character.
that again?
Langan.
Which movie was
Oh
that?
my lord!
My other favorite Satan,
Speak
John
of the
Langan.
devil and who shall appear.
Speak of the devil has never
Speak
been
of
more
the
appropriate.
devil.
And he will speak. It should be speak of the devil, and he will appear. Which sounds more like Yoda than Bane, but you know, I'm trying. I am hoping to have Viggo Mortensen play me in the film adaptation of my life, but it's not
There
going
you
well
go.
so far, and it looks more likely it's going to be Martin Short. So,
John, we were just discussing our favorite Satan in movies. Do you
well,
have
it's Mike Davis. I mean,
I'm not in the movies,
real
though.
life. You know,
You are in a movie. You're a voice on the phone, so it counts.
Oh, yeah.
Call Girl
I guess-
Cthulhu.
I guess
Look
so.
at that, man. Yeah, favorite Satan.
Oh, I guess I am in a movie. Voice only.
Elizabeth
Forgot about
Elizabeth Hurley in Bedazzled, not because of her acting ability, although
Pete-
she's pretty good.
I told you. I told you.
Come on,
That's exactly what I said, John.
Oh my
much
God!
better in that part.
We
And,
mentioned.
well, the who was in the original, the Dudley Moore one?
It was Peter Cook, right?
Yeah, Peter
Yeah.
Cook. I mean, he's a really
You're like a
fun
child who wanders into a conversation. I can't do it.
Pity John missed out on the superlatives, man. John, I said more nice stuff about you than Mike usually allows on this show.
Well, you know, Mike's
talked
Mike's
about
been
the
drinking
fisherman.
a lot recently. Yeah,
Ah,
I
that
appreciate
might
that.
Good
that
reason.
might
Yeah,
explain.
yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite Satans, man.
We came on this because we were talking about Angel Heart.
I was going to say, yeah, Robert De Niro and Angel Heart. Would you like an egg? Is
With the creepy nails. Would you
Yeah.
like an egg?
yeah, is terrific. Viggo Mortensen is fun and is it
Prophecy.
Prophecy? No,
Yeah, it's
is it
Prophecy.
Prophecy?
The
Yeah.
Prophecy.
I always
that's
get
what it is.
Prophecy and that other one mixed up. There's a lot with like killer angels. I feel like that became a thing for a while. Christopher Walken, right, is the bad angel.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's Gabriel, I think.
I'd like him to be the good angel. That would be casting against type. Gabriel Byrne is kind of fun in End of Days. when he's possessed by Satan. I do think that's a kind of underrated movie in some ways. It's just grim.
Yeah.
He said happily. Yeah, I don't know. I those off the top of my head. I like the idea of Jack Black playing Satan, but I haven't seen that movie yet.
Al Pacino?
It's on my watch list.
Al Pacino names. I got names. Yeah, I mean,
we mentioned. I think a lot of us, our consensus on number one was what's his name? Peter Stormare in Constantine.
Yeah, I was reading that he recently that he had to fight for that costuming, that they wanted him, the filmmakers wanted him to be covered in tattoos and like leather gear and all this kind of stuff, and pierced nipples and that, and he was like, nope, white suit. That's how we do it. And sure enough, yeah. Now he's good, but it's funny. Like, is there a difference between Satans who only appear briefly, as he does, and then ones who were there, like Al Pacino, for the whole or for a bigger chunk of the movie?
I guess it's true. It would depend on how much of an impact they had while they're there, despite the time, because we're still
true.
He's only there for a short time, but he makes we're talking about him still. So
that's a good
point. Yeah. Fair enough.
I got the impression Al Pacino was playing Al Pacino.
What are you trying to say, Dr. Carpenter?
It's no different than candy.
Right.
Or chocolate, or whatever the hell he said.
Kelly, did you have a favorite? Did you mention one?
Favorite Satan? I liked Viggo Mortensen also, but I remember thinking at the time that I would have really loved it if they had cast the kid from The Crying Game. He was also in Stargate.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
so beautiful. He was just such a beautiful young man. I was like, boy, this guy would make an amazing Satan.
But didn't he shoot his career? I mean, I thought he was. That's like in that Stargate, he was just impossible to work with, and that killed his career.
Really?
Like every actor, impossible to work with.
All right, so I'm gonna give one more.
Okay.
Robin Hughes from the Twilight Zone episode "The Howling Man."
Oh,
that last transition montage where he goes from being completely insane to the devil is just magnificent.
I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah.
I do not remember that offhand.
Roddy McDowell played the devil on Fantasy Island.
Oh yes,
that's right, and he has to fight with Mr. Rourke.
What is wrong?
I'm sorry, man. I was lonely as a child. What do you want?
No. It's like, so let me ask a question because I haven't seen it. In the Fantasy Island movie, is Michael Pena the devil?
Oh, I never even bothered.
Yeah, I've not seen that. I remember in the original Fantasy Island, there was some indication that there were these infernal forces or something like that at play. And that was how Rourke was able to indulge everybody's fantasies. But it sort of walked up the line to the satanic, and then Roddy McDowell showed up. He would be a good devil. It's true. Yeah.
Can we call Tim Curry in Legend Satan?
Oh, the dark.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, but also those horns, man. That is not practical. I mean, come on. That is showing off.
Satan adjacent.
Yeah.
Patrick McNee in Battlestar Galactica.
Oh
yeah.
Forgotten him.
Balthazar?
Iblis,
right.
Iblis, yeah. It's the Arab name for Satan.
So we got onto this because we were talking about the novel that Angel Heart was adapted from, Falling Angel. But I had mentioned that because we're talking about books that we've read this year, not necessarily published this year, that we really enjoyed, horror books, especially, obviously. And Mark mentioned Kelly's book, and he mentioned The Fisherman as well. So that was right before you got here. We both said nice things.
That summoned me. That and the mention of the devil. I mean, there was no way. I was like, I must go.
It was really good timing. We were talking about
My
the
kid
devil.
was like, but we need to have this heart-to-heart conversation. I was like, no, the internet calls. The Lovecraft e-zine calls.
Now we know the recipe.
Yeah. It's Satan and me.
Who else wants to talk about books they've read that they enjoyed?
So the 3 things that I enjoyed the most this year
Mm-hmm.
were Widowed by Kelly Young. We don't need to talk about that anymore.
Glad you showed up, aren't you, Kelly?
That was last year, but thanks, Pete.
Was it really last year?
It doesn't have to be published this year.
Oh, good
Oh,
point. Yeah.
God. All right. Anyway, Not a Speck of Light
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
by Laird Barron.
Really good.
And I was not a fan of his. I liked Paul's other books, but wow, horror movie just knocked it out of the park for me.
Yeah.
That was really, really good. So
Yeah. Who wants to go next?
Well,
go.
speaking of, oh, shut up, Mike. Speaking of the devil, I read a novella called A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen Peck. Has anybody else read this?
Sounds familiar.
It is really like astounding. It is a short novel, and it's just about everybody arriving in hell and then being given their duties of what hell is like and the rules and all this stuff, and then what happens as you go through hell for 1,000,000 years. And I was like, boy, the imagination on this guy, amazing.
Huh.
So I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the stuff. It's got 4,607 4.5 stars reviews on Amazon. So I am not alone in thinking this is really good. A Short Stay in Hell, Stephen L. Peck.
And it's on Kindle and it's available on Audible.
Yeah.
Is it as good as Lucifer's Lottery by Edward Lee?
You'd think I would have read an Ed Lee book called Lucifer's Lottery, but I have not.
The answer
Matt,
is
you tell me.
the answer is no. Everything's better than that book.
Oh,
Oh,
all right.
no.
We're supposed to be recommending books, not recommending books. What is that book about?
Lucifer's Lottery? Well, okay. The devil's holding an auction, and the auctioneer is going to be Lovecraft, and it's about people who come to hell for the auction. And it's about some of the things that happen in hell to people who end up being sent there. Sort of like what you say. What are your duties, Bill?
Didn't Ed Lee have a couple of hell books where there was like a war in hell going on I think
The only reason I picked this up is because it featured Lovecraft as the auctioneer. Normally, if I see Edward Lee, it's like my hand is directed to other titles.
Man, I'm reading the synopsis for A Short Stay in Hell. This looks really interesting, Kelly.
It's really good.
An ordinary family man, geologist, and Mormon, Soren Johansson has always believed he'll be reunited with his loved ones after death in an eternal hereafter. Then he dies. Soren wakes up to find himself cast by a god he has never heard of into a hell whose dimensions he can barely grasp. A vast library he can only escape from by finding the book that contains the story of his life. That's interesting.
Oh
It
yeah,
is really
Paul Tremblay told me about this one. He really liked this one.
It is something else because everybody, if you're a Christian, you're going to hell. You've been worshiping the wrong God this whole time. So it's really interesting. And I read this and I was like, God dang, I wish I had an imagination like this guy.
That's why Pascal's Wager never made any sense to me at all. It's a possible false dichotomy. I mean, he's Pascal's saying you might as well believe because if you're wrong and there is no God, no harm done, right? But if you believe, then you're going to heaven. Yeah, but what if you believe in the wrong one, dude?
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. All right. Who else wants to go? Bridget? John?
Mike DeBronzo's been
right.
trying to go 3 times. Go
Yeah, I mean,
Rhonda.
Who else?
If I'm allowed.
Who else?
If it's okay.
Alan? Matt?
I'll
Kelly,
go
you wanna
after
again?
Deronza.
I'll go.
All right. I just did I did a list. Like it's about like 13, 14
Checked it
books.
twice.
Checked it twice, baby.
Glad somebody did the homework.
So Kelly, K.L. Young is on this list twice. Secret Language of Spiders, Distant Silver Melody, Boys in the Valley by Philip Percassi. I'll Bring You the Birds from Out of the Sky by Brian Hodges.
Oh yeah.
Forbidden Knowledge by Tony
I
LaMalfa.
love that book, man.
Brian Hodge was
it's
amazing.
really good. Yeah, that was excellent.
Did
Not
you
a
get
Speck
the
of
one?
Light.
Did you get the one with the art?
I got it on Kindle.
Oh, okay.
I kind of had to go a different direction this year. Bookcase is getting filled. Chasing the Boogeyman by Chismar. Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower was really good. The Gods of Moab by some guy named Stephen Mark Rainey, who has blood in a lot of his titles that he didn't write. Whispers by Kristen Dearborn. Road of Bones by Christopher Golden, and In a Lonely Place by Carl Edward Wagner. And I'm working my way through the Cthulhu Heresy, but I haven't finished it. And there you go.
What are you doing here? If you haven't finished it.
I am trying not to deprive the public of this.
Okay.
For those
That's
listening,
fair
I
enough.
just gestured towards my face. You're lucky.
Can I ask, has anyone read Jonathan, is it Marbury or Mayberry? I think it's Marbury, isn't it? His Ghost Road.
I've heard it pronounced Mayberry, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't actually.
Well, there's no Y in it, but regardless, has anyone read his Ghost Road Blues trilogy? I guess it's Pine Deep is what it's called, and the first book is called Ghost Road Blues. I apparently bought the paperback a while back, and I haven't read it yet, and it looks really interesting. Very Halloween, a lot of Halloween themes and everything. I guess no one's saying anything, but it looks interesting. I'm going to read
It's a
it.
writer you probably want to read, and I want to read more of. He did some really cool comic book stuff about 10 years ago, where he had like Punisher versus the Marvel Universe, and he did some really neat like end of the Marvel Universe stuff with one hero having to fight off all the other heroes, and I was just really impressed with the direction that he took and that Marvel allowed him to take.
Okay.
Did he do Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe too?
Yes,
The only two I
think
could think
that
of.
is- I think that is him as well.
Yeah.
Alan, I see in the side chat, novels about Satan. You like? Oh, okay. You're not talking. He's not in The Last Werewolf. It's just the same writer.
Right.
Okay. The Last Werewolf is a really good book. Just made me think of it. DeBronzo, any others?
Actually, did I go through the whole list? Honorable mention in Nosferatu Unbound. Pete and Sal's story is my favorite out of that one. That was really good. And there was actually a story in there I really like that has to do with Murnau and the production of the movie. It has nothing to do, I think, with anything supernatural. And I was like, not what I expected, but I really enjoyed it. So
You mentioned Pete's name there. He's back.
No, I'm here. I'm just conserving my bandwidth because I keep when I'm video, everything just starts to I lose connection.
yeah, my connection sucks the
So
last few weeks. So yeah.
Both the Bronzo and Langan look like they're squatting in somebody else's houses. It's all very dark.
I'm just hoping that Kelly doesn't hear me down below. It's like, who the hell is in my basement? Langan, get out of here.
It does look like we just broke into somebody's house and have like a flashlight off for yeah.
It's Nay DeBronzo. It's Nay.
They're on Zoom on their
Snitches,
phone.
stitches, right? Come on.
Oh, jeez.
Do you want to go back to Attica? Come on.
Good Wi-Fi is hard to find.
Yeah. Bridget, you got any?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this because I've read a lot of short stories, a lot of random stories out of multiple anthologies, and so it felt like I really hadn't finished anything. But when I went and made a list, I at least finished like 13 books this year, as opposed to just 13. My favorite, DeBronzo. No, that's okay. Good for you. But of the books that I had finished that were more like novel type stories that I read this year, I've read Knock Knock by SP finally. So I was really excited to read that book because I love her other stuff. Some other stuff that I really liked, Minority Report and Other Stories, Philip K. Dick. I read that this year.
Awesome.
Loved that, was super cool. And then Lebo Coven by Stephen Mark Rainey. I enjoyed that book.
It is not the Lesbo Coven.
No, it's Lebo.
Always have to put a disclaimer there.
Well,
But I'm working
I
on
can't
that.
count how many people have told me they
Yeah.
love the
But
Lesbo
see,
Coven.
Mark, that gives you the opportunity to write another book. See,
Yeah.
we're using
There
the
you go.
proper
Missed
word.
it. Just an opportunity. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, Mark. It was a good ride. It was cozy, but also didn't pull punches. I appreciated that. Probably, let's see. Oh, Scanlines, Todd Kiesling. That one's really good. That stuck with me for a while. And my most recent read that I really enjoyed, The Shadow Key, which is actually more dark academia than horror. I think because I'd read so much weird fiction and horror and really dark shit this year that actually when I read The Shadow Key, it was like the perfect palate cleanser because it still had the kind of Hammer horror vibe, like, you know, doctor from London moves to Wales, is in a mansion, and there's like maybe the guy who owns the mansion is in a cult, but we're not sure. And then there was like murder mystery. It takes place in the 1700s. I don't know, but it was just, I thought it was an outstanding book. And it's only her second book. She wrote her first book last year, Susan Stokes Chapman. And this was her book that she published this year. So now I'm going to have to go back and read her other book, which is also set in the 1700s. But it kind of had, what is it? The Brotherhood? That's not the right title, but the French movie about werewolves. The werewolf cult.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Brotherhood of the Wolf. It had that kind of vibe, like, because it's from that time period, if that makes sense. Like, just cool, dark academia kind of. Yeah, I just super enjoyed that. And then short story recently that stuck with me from Christmas and Other Horrors. The Ghost of Christmas's Past by Richard Kadri. I don't know how you say his last name, but I'm only about halfway through that book, and I really love that one so far. So I haven't got to your story yet, Langan, but I will.
You don't have to.
My story is really filthy. So
awesome.
You will not look at John the same way again, you know. So
it's entirely possible. Yeah, I'll be on here like this or something. It's just
so you recommend Christmas and Other Horrors as a whole so far, though? So
far, I mean, it's just there's nothing out there that's like it.
Yeah. Well, it's a Datlow book,
I think.
So.
Well, that for one, but look, see, I have this like stash of Christmas horror short stories, and most of them are, oh, this is just some random poem that, you know, somebody wrote in the 1800s, or like, you know, there's some Dickens and Emma James and like some classic stuff in there, but this is just like modern and brutal, but there's still some old holiday, I don't know, figures, I guess you'd say, in there. So it's
Nadia Balkan wrote a Festivus story for that anthology.
Yeah, actually, that's right. I have read her story, and it was excellent.
Bridget, there's an anthology a few years back called Horror for the Holidays.
Okay.
It's got a bunch of Christmas stories in it.
Right.
But it's spread out for all the holidays. And it's a mythos. I think Brian Sammons was the editor.
It's got a Krampus on the cover, and you think
Horror for the holidays.
Yeah. If you look at the cover, you think it's just Christmas.
I'm
But
surprised I don't have it already, but I'm gonna have to get it.
it's holidays through the year, as Pete said.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay, cool. That's probably why, because I was looking specifically for Christmas Krampusy
Yeah.
stuff at the time.
when people
I'll have
talk
to check
about
that.
the holidays and horror, I always think of the opening chapter to The Woman in Black by Susan Hill, because the protagonist, his kids, they're in England, so they're all telling the ghost stories, around the fire and everything at Christmas Eve, and inside he's thinking, it's not like this, it's not these chains rattling and everything. He's like, it's so much worse than this and so different than this, and it's a great opening for that book. Um, anyway, if you've only seen the movie and you haven't read the book, you really should. So, yeah, it's made me think of that. It's not really a Christmas story, but it opens up that way. So, any others, Bridget, or did you cover them all?
No, that's. Oh, and Frankenstein Enterprises. I almost forgot Max Stanton.
Oh,
I
yeah.
super love that. I'm gonna read that again, actually, pretty soon. It was awesome.
He's a really brilliant writer. What was the name of his collection that we had?
Season of Loathsome Miracles.
Season of Loathsome Miracles. Yeah, that is so damn imaginative. It really, really is. So to the audience, you guys should check that out if you haven't read it. A Season of Loathsome Miracles by Max D. Stanton. So.
And read Frankenstein Enterprises because it's awesome. It's epic.
All right, who else wants to talk about what they've read this year? John, Matt, Kelly?
I'll go. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I agree with DeBronzo. I have Secret Language of Spiders, Forbidden Knowledge, Tonal Malfa, and Cthulhu Heresies, and Gods of Moab. They were all great. Thanks to everybody. Gave us those great books. I also would add for collections At the Mad Mountains, Joe Lansdale. That was a very good collection. And my older book that I discovered this year was Powers of Darkness, the English translation of the Icelandic translation of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Thank you. I was going to ask you to talk about this if you didn't bring it up.
Oh.
Now we all have it on our audio list.
Yeah, but you better listen to it before the end of the year because it goes away. The free goes away at the end of the year. But can you tell them about this book, Alan?
Okay, it's so it's from 1901. It's that or the Swedish. I was digging into it. That or the Swedish may be the first non-English translation of it. And I'm just kind of recounting what's in the introduction of the book, so I'm no expert on it. But Bram Stoker wrote the introduction for it, and it was not until the 1980s that some English scholars went in and looked at it and retranslated it and found out that whoever did the translation of it, what was his name? I'm blanking on it. Valdemar. No, I'll go on.
I'm looking on Wikipedia. But
Whoever did the translation just took the idea and just made up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's changed some names around, and it's a completely different motivation for Dracula. It's more political, and it's more sexual. The Jonathan Harker sequence gets a lot more specific. He brings in history, social Darwinism. Fascinating book.
Dacre, if I'm saying his first name right, Stoker, great grandnephew of Bram Stoker, writes the introduction to this.
Yeah, I'm actually beta reading for Dacre Stoker and Lev Butts, who have co-written The Ally of Madness, and I'm about halfway through that now, and it's about a journal of Bram Stoker's being found, and it opens up a lot of weird avenues as far as him writing Dracula. And like I said, I'm about halfway through it, and it's pretty riveting.
It's Valdemar Asmundsen.
Okay. Well, after Alan made me aware of this the other night, I looked up Dacre Stoker on Wikipedia, and I'll just read this paragraph here. He's teamed up with Chris McCauley to create the Stokerverse, a range of novels, audio comics, short stories, RPGs, board and video game franchise emanating from all of Bram Stoker's life's work. That's pretty interesting if anyone wants to dig into that. So,
I've got 2 comic books also recommend.
yeah.
The Image Comics has the rights to the Universal franchise, and they've done Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and the most recent Frankenstein. I enjoyed the Frankenstein the most. It was 4 issues, each one focused on the backstory of a body part.
Okay.
So, the first issue is kind of heartbreaking. It's about the child whose father provided the hands for Frankenstein, and he witnesses them stealing his father's body and what happens from there.
Hmm.
And these are the Universal depictions.
Okay.
And Batman: The Kryptonian Age, the Gotham by Gaslight
Oh,
follow-up.
yeah.
It's full mythos.
Did I read the first 2 and then I decided I wanted to binge them all when they were all out. Are they all out now?
Yeah, I've just got number 6.
Okay, so it is 6. All right, I'm gonna finish reading those tonight. Did you read The Dark Age?
No.
Yeah, that's interesting too. It's set in the 80s, and what's the name of the guy who has to witness all of the universes dying in Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Pariah.
The Pariah. He's a major kind of background character in Batman: The Dark Age. It's really interesting what they did with it. So,
Can I add something to my
yeah.
list? It's kind of
Please.
horror adjacent, but Titan revived. They have the rights to Conan now. The comics have been really good. I've got the first 3 volumes, and I'm really enjoying it. If you're a Conan fan, definitely worth checking out. And the arts, I mean, 99% of it is awesome. There's a guy named, I think, Rob Delatour, who his artwork looks like John Buscema's from the old Marvel run. And it's gorgeous. So highly recommend it.
Thanks. Matt, you had some too, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, everyone picked most of the ones I thought about already. For example, Not a Speck of Light or The Secret Language of Spiders. I read The Daughter's War by Christopher Buehlman, and I really like that. I didn't like it as much as Black Tongue Thief, but it's not to say it wasn't a terrific read and just packed with packed with ideas. You know, I want him to write more and stop having a life and get onto the typewriter. You know, it's like
I'll tell him.
right. But then I did want to mention one mythos story that was in this novel, Lovecraft in a Time of this historical anthology, Lovecraft in a Time of Madness. It has thematically, it's sort of reminiscent of Mark's story, Rapture in Black. It's called In the Flat Field by Scotty Milder or Milder. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. But it's about a woman, and you get to know all about her. And it's kind of like that scene from Psycho where in the beginning where this woman, like she's got all these worries. She's got the money. What's going to happen? Then she goes to the Bates Motel. None of that matters
Suddenly,
anymore.
no more worries.
Well, this is something very similar. Is something truly awful happens to the protagonist. That she has. There's no reason it happened except she was driving by the wrong stretch of road at the wrong time. I just thought it was most of this is okay. That was really good.
There's a Matthew Scudder mystery. I won't say which one, but this guy is killed, and Matt's, of course, hired to find out who killed him by his wife. And there's all these subplots and things that it could be, and it turns out it was just some tweaker or somebody like that just killed him when he was standing in a phone booth. Getting back to Chris Buehlman, he's the guy who wrote The Lesser Dead, also, for those who don't know, and Suicide Motor Club. But when Richard Donner was directing the Superman movie back in '78, he put the word verisimilitude on placards all through the sets and everything, because he said within this world of Superman, we want to be as realistic with that in mind as we can be. That makes me think of Christopher Buehlman's work. You know, uh, it's really immersive and it feels so real when you're reading it. So anyway, uh, John, did you or Kelly go? Did you guys go yet? I don't think you did.
I defer to my esteemed colleague.
Okay.
I did. I already went. I
Oh, that's
talked
right.
about,
I'm sorry. You
yeah.
did.
He should talk again, though. He totally should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, I just have to deal with these spiders.
Yeah, because you did a great job. Yeah, I guess
You were
John.
afraid of the spiders.
I
Hmm?
don't like spiders.
No, I think reading's for suckers. I'm just on here really just to sort of
And
just to
writing.
hang out. Yeah, it's all about memes, and I'm here to talk about Bitcoin. I'd like to talk about my Lovecraft, easy, and Bitcoin. I'd like to give everybody a chance to get in on that from the ground floor
Well,
or the basement.
I did ask this question in the Facebook group, and I'll just quickly read a few of the answers. Alan Smalling said "All the Fiends of Hell" by Adam Neville.
Hmm.
Grant Dowell reread "The House on the Borderland" by Hodgson. Timothy Fox said "Southern Book Club" by Grady Hendrix. Not a Speck of Light by Laird's mentioned several times. And what else here we got? Road of Bones by Christopher Golden. Did somebody else mention that already? I think so.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Brett George, and he says, followed closely by The Best of the Rest, Brian Lumley, and Not a Speck of Light by Laird Barron. Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. Ben Kennedy says, I need to read this. I keep hearing it's one of the creepiest books that people have ever read.
Yeah, actually, I mean, in all seriousness, it continued to be like it was another standout year for novels and stories, novellas, whatever. It's a good thing I'm not afraid of spiders, Kelly. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Not a Speck of Light. It seemed to me that Laird really came storming back with this really top of the line collection of stories. Helped, I think, to be frank, by Doug Morano and Bad Hand Books doing a fantastic job on promotion. We always wonder what would happen if a publisher just got behind something they're publishing, and it's like, oh look, it sells. So
that
you
99-cent sale that he did really got people interested in Laird's, made them aware of that book, but then they wanted to read the rest of his work that they hadn't read yet.
Yeah. So but also I think Paul's horror movie, it's funny, like it was a year where you had a few books that were just really scary. A horror movie, I think, is pretty scary, and so was Incidents Around the House. I mean, Malerman is he's like endlessly inventive, like every novel he's just like, what if I did this? And Incidents Around the House just really it really lands. I felt anyway. Rachel Harrison, her vampire novel So Thirsty, which is fun and gory and has a vampire orgy in it. So if that doesn't, everybody reaches. What was that novel?
Sold.
Hang on a second.
Let me grab my pen.
Right. Yeah. But Harrison continues as well to develop as a writer, and I think that this represents her going into further territory. Nadia Balkan had a lovely novella called Red Skies, and Dim Shore's only 200 copies were printed, but I guess it'll be the anchor piece in a forthcoming collection next year. So I'm always blown away by Nadia's work, and this was no exception. Stephen Graham Jones, the man, the myth, the legend, the Playgirl centerfold. I mean, Geez, I was a teenage slasher in the third Indian Lake book, and I'm sure there were a bunch of other Earth divers. I mean, the guy is just unstoppable. And there's something to be said, I guess, right, for just, Steven's just pursuing this kind of slasher passion that he has, and just doing all these crazy things with it. Every time you think, all right, he's kind of worn out the slasher. No, hang on, he's going to do something else. I can't remember if Sarah Langan's A Better World, I think it was this year, but that's a wonderful kind of spot on kind of quasi satire of kind of near future. Well, it's not even a dystopia, which is depressing. But yeah, very a nice follow up to her more recent novel, Good Neighbors. Very different, but also proof that she's back in a big way. Yeah,
just jump in real quick.
Oh my God! All right, go ahead.
Now about Nadia, I'm glad you mentioned her. I wanted to say, and I put the link in the side chat, that her new collection, which is titled Issues with Authority, is up for pre-order. So that would be good for you guys to do. If you missed out on Red Skies in the Morning, it's going to be in that collection. And a lot of people did miss out because it was a very limited run.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So anyway, that's how you can read it in the coming year. So anyway, I'm sorry, John, go on.
No, not sorry enough. But and yeah, I would also, I mean, everything else that's been mentioned, I agree with Mike. What's going on with the new Conan books is really pretty cool. And it is true. I think they picked that artist specifically because his art is very reminiscent of John Buscema's art. I mean, uncannily so. But they're doing, they tackled, I think it's in the second volume, but second collection, they tackled the Belit story in a really interesting way, because of course in the original, John Buscema and Roy Thomas, like that was like 30 or 40 issues of Belit, so there's no way that they can equal that. And so the way that they address that storyline, I thought was really inspired. So it's nice nice to see those guys doing that. Always nice to see Conan.
Yeah, he's actually, I mean, not to go off on a tangent, but Titan, since they've gotten the rights for Conan, is just going full steam ahead, and in a good way. You've got Savage, the magazine's back, Savage Sword of Conan. I have a couple issues of that. There's novels by other authors. There's the short stories, like Laird did one. Graham Jones did one. And it's just not Conan. It's all of Robert E. Howard's major characters.
I think in Savage Sword they have a background Solomon Kane story or sort of series that's being done by Patrick Zurcher, and that's lovely.
Art is gorgeous.
Yeah, he's a terrific artist.
Yeah, for anybody not in the know, Savage Sword is all black and white.
Yeah,
it's like on newsprint, and they're gonna. You can pre-order it now. They're gonna do the volumes collected, and I don't know if it's paperback or hardcover, but I think it's up for pre-order for like January or something. For the first 3 issues.
Speaking of Solomon Kane, real quick, Sean Hamill wrote a book apparently recently called Suffer the Witch. I haven't read it. I believe it's going to be published in early 2026. But for those who don't know, be on the lookout for that.
Is it a short story, or is it a long form story, like a novel or novella?
It's a novel, I believe.
Oh wow!
Titan's publishing it.
Nice.
Yeah, full speed ahead.
So they've got the whole Robert E. Howard.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention, John?
I want to take a pot shot at the Stoker verse, but I'm not going to do that because I'm friends with Lev Butts. Come on. All right. Anyway,
Stoker verse.
I know. And who knows? Maybe it'll be great. But I can only hope that my descendants someday will be like, let's do the Langan verse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first volume will be called like not a paragraph break in sight or something like that.
The goal is for your great grandchildren to not to have to have a real job.
Right, exactly. I'm looking to create the Elon Musks of the future. Yeah.
Good luck.
It's good to have a goal.
All the success.
I will throw out Philip Fracassi released a short story collection called No One Is Safe this year that I thought was really good. And obviously, I mean, I published Fracassi, so I love him, but I think he's really killing it lately. DeBronzo's got a copy of it showing right now.
I have visuals.
It is, it's, yeah, I mean, you know, if you like Philip, then you're going to like his short story collection.
Yeah, there's actually a sequel to The Blob in there, which is really good.
He's you know, if you're old school horror, he's very much in that King kind of writing style. So
Yeah.
Boys in the Valley was excellent. That's probably my favorite book from him so far as a novel, not a collection.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so good.
I'd throw in one thing. I knew I was going to forget something. I wanted to put in an honorable mention to Gwendolyn Keiss' Haunting of Velkwood, which it took its time unfolding, but it ended up having a real rich bunch of characters and had great atmosphere. And I wanted to make sure I mentioned that one.
I just read this, but I guess Mike Flanagan's writing a Clayface movie. Have you heard about this, DeBronzo?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's for real.
Yeah, it's actually got a release date, September 11th, 2026. No plot. I'm reading from bloodydisgusting.com. No plot details for the Mike Flanagan written Clayface movie have been announced, but Flanagan tweeted back in 2021 that his dream Clayface movie was a horror thriller tragedy. And he's definitely a tragic figure, you know.
Yeah.
So, have you seen Alan Tudyk's interview about playing? Because he loves playing Clayface.
Yeah.
He played Clayface on the Harley Quinn cartoon, and he played him as a moron, you know.
Yeah.
And someone, but then in another version, another cartoon, Clayface is a murderous psycho, and Alan Tudyk gets to play him there as well. And according to James Gunn, according to all the rules that Gunn's put in place, Tudyk will be doing Clayface for the film.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool because I love Tudyk.
Yeah, some kind of bullshit.
I got it.
What's the name of that series? I forget.
Resident Alien.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Do you think it's not going to be part of I would think it's not going to be part of Gunn's normal DCU. It would be more like the Batman Reeves, where it's in its own little.
I don't think anyone knows yet.
I'm just speculating. Like, so the way you described it, his description wants it as like a horror movie, and doesn't. I don't know. Just sounds like it would be its own thing. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Gunn has kept open the idea of that, like the Matt Reeves Batman series. It's an Elseworlds kind of thing. It's not his main. So, could be that he's willing to do that with Clayface.
Yeah.
Speaking of Clayface,
yeah.
Has anybody else seen the stills from Craven the Hunter for the Rhino?
Yeah, you can watch 8 minutes of it online too.
God.
Well, that's the one thing that makes me nervous about the Clayface thing. I mean, I love Flanagan and I have faith in him and all that, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh, is that what we're gonna get?
Probably not. Kelly, you sent me something that you want to describe it, just how the movie's been described by people who've seen it, because this makes me want to see it.
What? No, remind me. I've been drinking.
All right,
good.
You sent me
got to prepare for this somehow.
He sent me a link where it's people's reactions to seeing it, like it's so god awful, and that's what makes you actually enjoy the movie. And I don't have them like handy.
The one comment I saw that said that this is about the only film I can think of that would have been better as a silent film. And I was like, oh man, that's,
So this is a Mystery Science Theater 3000 film.
Special. Yeah.
I had no interest in seeing it until he sent me that. And then I remembered they had the first 8 minutes. You can watch first 8 minutes of the movie on YouTube. And I watched the first 8 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah. It's not the and I've actually seen like scenes with the rhino from the movie leaked on YouTube, like clips. I'm like, I thought they were clips from the movie because I don't think is it even out in theaters? Did it come out this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like the final scenes of the movie and shit. But yeah, I'll be watching it at some point.
The movie is out now. They said it's got 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's the lowest Sony Spider-Man film.
14.
That's how they're going out.
That's
Even worse than Madam Web, huh?
Or Morbius.
It's
Or
Morbin time.
Or Dark Phoenix. Said Dark Phoenix, hold my beer. This is how we're wrapping this up.
So who's playing the Rhino?
No idea.
Republican in name only, I mean.
I could look it up on Google, but I can't summon the energy to care even that
I'll
much.
look it up.
I just
I'm
like
sure
the
it's-
thought that now people look at Morbius and they're like, what a work of art was Morbius. We didn't know how good we had it. Jared Leto.
It's amazing how many movies they made without Spider-Man, but they're all Spider-Man characters.
Right.
Alessandro Navallo.
Oh, he's my favorite.
He was like, this will be my big break in American movie making.
Well, apparently he's been in The Brutalist, American Hustle, Disobedience.
Oh, wow.
So
The Brutalist is supposed to be somebody in that's supposed to have like a Oscar buzz about it, so it's probably a good movie.
American Hustle's great.
Wait,
So-
is The Brutalist about that art movement, or is it something else?
I don't know. I saw the commercial of the
It's
trailer.
about a serial killer who's part of that art movement.
Uh-huh.
it's about an architect, Laszlo Toth.
70s architect.
Oh, the Brutalist movement. Okay.
So
Architecture.
no Oscar
Was.
no Oscar rumors about Craven the Hunter.
No.
Okay.
But I
Oh.
always kind of remember like when they asked Michael Caine, why did you make what was it, Jaws 3 3D?
The Revenge.
The money.
Jaws 4.
Okay, whatever. It's like
Yeah.
I needed the money. Yeah.
Paycheck.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
they said to him, have you seen that movie? And he said, well, what I see is the house I bought for my mother.
Yeah, that's it.
I also think of like when Bart Simpson's taking Krusty the Clown to task is like, how could you do this, Krusty? He's like, they drove a truckload of money up to my house.
All right. So recommended Christmas horror movies. Pete, go.
Oh, movies.
I know what you're going to say.
Go ahead. What is it?
Rare exports.
Rare Exports.
Oh, Rare Exports. Good choice.
The cosmic horror Christmas movie you didn't know you needed, but you do.
It's
absolutely-
Finnish. What's not to
Oh,
like?
so it's like it makes you wonder what the hell is going on in Finland.
Yeah.
It's cold and it's snowy, and we need to stay entertained, I think.
Just lost all the Finland viewers, but okay.
Guys, on that note, I gotta go. My
Finland.
connection's so bad; it's really, really frustrating.
All right, buddy. See you
All right.
later.
So you beat.
Don't end up in a shipment to some other.
What is? I've never seen Rare Exports. Sorry to say.
Oh, it's really good.
It's
It's really
entertaining.
good.
It's so good.
It's entertaining, and it's really got an incredibly creepy theme.
Yeah, it embraces its theme like you're like, no way. And it embraces it just wholeheartedly and it wins because of that.
I think I really offended Kelly.
It's so good. Mike, you'd love it.
All right. I'll watch it. Probably watch
What-
it tonight. I see it's on Peacock.
There's one on Shudder with a killer Santa robot that goes crazy.
Oh,
He's
that's
got like an
kinda fun.
axe. Is it good?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
is it enjoyable? And let me rephrase that.
Yeah, there's a difference between good and
How much
enjoyable.
do you have to pregame before you watch it?
I would
Probably.
say if you think that you want to see The Terminator as a Christmas movie, this movie is right there for you.
Sweet.
The Terminator is a Christmas movie.
The
Done.
Terminator suite of holiday movies. The Terminator at Christmas. The Terminator at
a-
Valentine's
Why is
Day.
it?
The
I love
Santinator.
4th of July, right?
I love the Terminator, but why is it a Christmas movie?
Easter
I'm
Terminator.
just saying it's a Santa Claus robot that is out killing people.
Okay.
It malfunctions
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
they do.
Instead, you could watch Once Upon a Prince, the Hallmark movie. It's got its
Who's
own
upon
kind of
Prince?
Once Upon a Prince, or something like that.
That just makes me think of the Cybermen and the Doctor Who specials. So shout out to all the Doctor Who specials, especially the Cybermen ones.
Oh,
Those are awesome.
absolutely. I agree.
What about the
Everybody,
one- what's the
everybody
one
who
with-
really likes Christmas horror should watch Krampus.
Matt, what did we
Yes,
say
I
about
love
watching the
Krampus.
Hallmark
Yeah, it's
channel?
fun.
What did we say
What's
about
the
watching
one with David Harbour? David Harbour is like
Violent
Russian
Night.
Santa.
Yeah, we
who
watched that
kills
last
everybody.
year. That
That
one
is-
was
Violent Night.
That is
was
great fun.
What
That
is it?
is
What
that
movie
is
is
Glad
that?
to see that.
What movie?
Called Violent Night. It's
Violent
very-
Night. That's it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kim and I were trying to remember what the name of that was. Good deal there.
I guess
Yeah,
Silent Night,
it's-
Deadly Night, 1984, I think, was banned in some places or
I think
something like
so.
that, because it was a Christmas horror movie. It was Santa Claus being Krampus, basically. I
The
guess.
original
Yeah.
Black.
Dennis had enough.
Ugh. The original
different
Black
time.
Christmas.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine
That's
being
a great
offended by
movie.
anything like that?
Mhm.
Yeah, naughty or nice. Yeah,
Don't watch the remakes of Black Christmas, but the original Black Christmas. That's good stuff.
Yes,
I'm
agree.
I'm still not getting the Terminator horror, Christmas thing, but it's a comfort movie for me. I like that movie. So okay, so while we're on the topic, T2 better than Terminator or the same or apples and oranges?
I look
Apples
at it
and
as
oranges.
Apples and
Alien
oranges, yeah.
versus Aliens.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just two different. Yeah.
All right. So can we agree that every movie after that is Terminator
Crap.
3 in a different timeline? Basically.
Well, wasn't
think
that the
about it.
plot of the Terminator TV show? That they go back in time to the moment before, basically sort of right after the end of Terminator 2, and they leap forward in time. And
Yeah.
it's a way to sort of get away from Terminator 3 and all the rest of them.
I
Yeah.
actually quite liked the TV series. Got used to the different actors and the parts and all. It was pretty well done.
Yeah, I mean, because what you also had, remember there was one episode where these two people meet each other because everybody's hopping back and forth in
Yeah.
time, and these
Yeah.
two people meet each other and they realize that they're in love but in different timelines, and that one of their timelines is not going to make it. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
some
Seriously.
cool stuff
I've only
there.
seen a few episodes. Maybe I should watch the rest.
Sarah
That sounds
Connor
really cool.
Chronicles, right?
Yeah, Sarah
yep,
Connor Chronicles. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was only 2 seasons. We've got them on DVD, and it's been a long time since we watched
Ah.
them. But it
Yeah.
was it was a worthy follow up to the first 2 movies, whereas none of the movies are, to my mind.
I think probably
Yeah, I-
Kelly's favorite would be Terminator Dark Fate, I'm guessing.
Was that the
why
most
do you
recent
think that
one?
again?
Yeah.
Okay, so
don't
here's the
even-
thing with Terminator Dark Fate.
Oh no.
Here we go.
Is there a thing with it?
Well, here's it. Like what makes it so dumb is they've stopped the future. Like they have prevented that future from happening, and yet somehow it still happens. Like there's this, and there was, I thought, like a real missed opportunity there. So at the beginning, right, Arnold shows up, kills the boy, whatever, but it doesn't matter because although the boy is dead, that future has been prevented. But then we see that there's still this cyborg revolution or not cyborg, but AI revolution that happens. Everybody's being tracked by the monsters, and they go back in time and blah blah blah. So it's like the Terminator plot from the first movie in some ways plays out again, but it's in a completely different from a completely different point of origin.
Yeah.
So like if you look at it closely, it kind of obviously it falls apart, but I mean it falls apart in this really profound way. And there was, like, I thought there was actually something really interesting they could have done, where they could have said, the way that the structure of space-time works is that there were certain bubbles that if you pop that bubble, if you say, oh, okay, we've changed the future, some other future is going to rush in to fill it. I mean, obviously, right? But you're like, in other words, you can't ever get away from the Terminator future. It's always just that there may be different permutations of it. And I thought that was, they could have gone in a really interesting direction there.
Well, I remember
Alas, they
in
did
Rise of
not.
the Machines, Arnold says that Judgment Day is inevitable. You only delayed it in Terminator
Right.
2.
Right.
I just listening to that, I feel like John just now put way more thought into that film than the writers did. Did I see Dark Fate?
You saw it.
Which one was that? Did Dark Fate have Arnold in it?
Yeah.
Yes. Arnold and
That's
Linda
not-
Hamilton.
You saw it because I said to you, huh, that's not too bad. And you're
and-
like,
Where Arnold he's the Terminator who has a life as a normal man.
yeah.
He's in like
That's
an
not
upholsterer or
Genesis?
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's married the woman, and I cannot give her what she needs, but nonetheless,
He grows a conscience.
and nobody
that's not-
believes that.
Yeah, this is
Dark
That's
Fate
not
is
Terminator Genesis.
no.
that's before that.
Dark
This
Fate
one
is the latest one.
Is
Genesis
young,
was
there's a stand-in for Sarah
Okay.
Connor.
Genesis-
Sarah
I don't
Connor's
think
in
I've
it,
seen it.
but there's a young woman that becomes the new mother of the Messiah figure.
Yeah, that's
right?
the dumbest
I remember
one
her.
in my view.
well, Genesis was supposed to be the start of a trilogy. I think that's the one where John Connor has been corrupted.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
right,
a really bad
and
movie.
it was supposed to be the start of a new trilogy. And then they were like, "This is terrible. We're not doing any more with this." So that's why
it's the
you
worst
get to
of
the
all
end
the
of that
sequels.
movie, and you feel
What-
like all this stuff is going to happen. I didn't mind the one with Christian Bale.
That was supposed to be a beginning of a new franchise.
Yeah, I didn't think that was.
So-
I didn't think that was terrible.
It needed to be R. You're gonna do a Terminator movie, do an R movie.
Yeah,
I think that was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
PG. Yeah.
but I spend a lot of time thinking about terrible movies and how they could have been better. And every time I talk to Laird, and he's like, "What have you been up to?" And I'm like, "Listen, Terminator, Dark Fate." And he's like, "Why are you? Stop it! Stop talking
That's
to
what
me."
Kelly
I
said
spend
to
a lot
me
of
when I
time
mentioned it.
watching terrible movies, John.
That is
Well, there's that
exactly what
too,
you
you
said to
know,
me
but-
when I mentioned Terminator Dark Fate. You were like, there was silence on the phone. Like, what is he talking about? So,
My
I mean,
favorite
that's
part of
like
that
a big
movie is
budget.
when, yeah, the best part of the movie though that I actually laughed out loud. Like this is what I enjoy when he's talking about him upholstering. You have to have the right fabric, and he's like doing this whole thing. Comes out of nowhere, and then we go back to the regular movie and ruins it. So,
Yeah.
I see we have not
Zero
sold you on this
recollection.
film yet, Kelly.
I have zero recollection of any of this, but
I know
I
you
have
saw
done
it
drugs.
because you made fun of me for saying it wasn't too bad.
that doesn't sound like anything I would ever do.
No, not at all. Yeah. All right, we have anything else to talk about? Any other
Well, we
Christmas
gotta-
horror movies you want to recommend?
Well, I thought we
you
were
know
going to
what? I
talk
would-
about Creature Commandos a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
We watched episode 1 as a preview for the movie night last night. It is so much fun. I think Alan Tudyk is the voice for Dr. Phosphorus.
And GI Robot.
I thought G.I. Robot was someone else.
Sean Gunn is GI Robot.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's Sean Gunn is GI Robot and Weasel, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, I don't know. I just thought I've not really watched many cartoons recently of any DC stuff, and I just thought the way they've written and drawn the characters, it's just super entertaining. You know, I think I'm really going to enjoy the whole series. Has anyone else seen it?
Yeah, I got through episode 3, which is the most recent one, and it's a mix, right, of the Creature Commandos that J.M. DeMatteis came up with, but it's also got a lot in common with the recent New 52 comic, Frankenstein and the Agents of Shade, and then Gunn has sort of built it off the Suicide Squad. So in the wake, presumably, of the Suicide Squad, the events in the movie, Suicide Squad has been, you can't do that with humans anymore. But if you have monsters, then that's the workaround. And yeah, it's very once more, David Harbour plays a large man with like a kind of a vaguely Russian accent. So that's his Frankenstein's monsters. So I'm beginning like, is he getting typecast or is he typecasting himself? You know,
We only got like a few lines from him in the first episode, so I've not seen any of the others yet.
yeah. There's more of him in the second, not so much in the third. And it's as with all of Gunn's stuff, it sort of veers back and forth between the really over the top insane and then the sort of deeply sentimental. So yeah, I would recommend it.
I think it's great. I guess the only thing I'll criticize about it is I don't think the James Gunn needle drops work as well in animation as they do in film. So
Sorry, needle drops?
just putting in a cool song into it.
Oh, but but what's the song at the end of the second episode? The sort of insane, it sounds like a Russian folk song, but like a sort of a punk Russian folk song, where there's a montage that goes on there that I thought that really worked for.
Have you seen this, Kelly?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah,
sounds like
I
it's
like
right up
it.
your alley.
It is. I loved the Creature Commando comic book as a kid. I then went and bought the collected Creature Commandos and reread them as an adult, and I was like, "Oof, these are quite bad." This is good. I'm a little surprised at the massive praise it's getting because I don't think it's anywhere near as good as something like. Does anybody watch Vox Machina?
Some of it, yeah.
It's a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, and it is filthy and funny and heartwarming and just amazing, gorgeous animation. And I think that if you're going to be doing stuff like this right now, you've got to be as good as whatever the best is, and that feels like the best to me right now. And I think that kind of blows Creature Commandos out of the water, which is surprising to me because I love James Gunn. And I do enjoy this series. I just don't think it's as good as I hoped it would be.
I don't know. I think I'm not aiming that high. I'm not comparing it to anything in a critical way. For me, it was just like it's the cartoon before the movie, and it's just a lot of fun.
We grown-ups call them animation. Just so you know, so we can feel better about ourselves.
Just like our toys are collectibles.
Right.
Adult
Exactly.
collectibles.
Adult collectibles. Maybe you want to think about that phrasing.
Yeah.
I think about.
I will, John. I most certainly will.
So I was thinking about Sheen in the Jimmy Neutron movie, which everybody should watch, where he's saying, "It's not a doll; it's an action figure. There's a difference."
I haven't thought about that show in a long time, man. When Logan was little, he loved that Jimmy Neutron TV series. So we're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship.
If you're tempted at all, give it a go. It's just fun.
I would, but I don't have Max right now. So
I think episode 1 is free on YouTube.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. We're gonna wrap up, but are there any other Christmas horror movies that we should make people watch besides Rare Exports?
I just want to throw out there on YouTube available is the Twilight Zone 84 series, and they did a remake of the Twilight Zone episode Night of the Meek, which is the Santa Claus, the drunk Santa Claus who gets kicked out of his job because he's drunk on the job, and then his little hefty garbage bag starts giving out toys. I can't remember who it was in the original series, but in the 84 version, it's Richard Mulligan, and it's just really, really good and heartwarming. And I watched it last night.
The remake?
Yeah. And
It's
available
called
on
Children of
YouTube
the
for
Meek.
free.
This doesn't
Night of the Meek.
Night of the Meek.
Yeah, and it's just a really lovely Twilight Zone Christmas story. I feel like every season of the original they had a Christmas episode, but this is the one that always stuck with me, and I really love the remake of it. So I watch that every year, and always makes me feel good.
What about Gremlins?
Never.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Gremlins is my jam. Now you're speaking my language.
Die Hard 2. That is a Christmas
No, Die Hard 1.
Die Hard
Santa
2 is the
Claus.
Christmas movie. Well, I
So
guess they're
here's
both
my-
Christmas movies.
My Gremlins Christmas story. My son wanted to watch a scary movie. He was, I don't know, like 9 or 10 or something like that, and have a bunch of his friends over to watch a scary movie. And I was like, okay, sure. And I thought I'll show them Gremlins, because Gremlins is like, it's a little intense, but it's fun, right? They, throw the gremlin in the microwave and all that kind of stuff.
I
Mom's
think
a
I see how
badass,
this
you know?
ends, but go ahead.
And they're all sitting around watching, and they get to the part where his girlfriend talks about her father being stuck in the chimney in the
Yeah.
Santa Claus outfit and dying. And that's how she found out there was no Santa Claus. And the minute those words come out, I'm like, oh no. And all the kids look at me and I look at them, and it was like, we're just not going to talk about this. Okay? 'Cause, I mean, I think everybody
Oh,
knew
man,
at
you
that
were like,
point,
"Oh,
but I was
shit."
like, great, yeah. Oh,
You
Mr.
should've
Reagan ruined Christmas forever. He killed Santa Claus.
You should have twirled your mustache
Right.
and just gone with it. Like,
Kids, that's right.
Merry
like-
Christmas.
He
Easter
hates
Bunny,
Uncle
too.
John.
There's an old Doonesbury cartoon where this is like, I don't know, from the 80s. Doonesbury's talking to Zonker and he says, man, Zonker, I remember, the first time I found out there was no Santa Claus and how upset I was. When did you first? And he looks over and Zonker started crying.
I was I had a faculty meeting the other day, and somebody started to say that, about like some of the older kids or it was a concern that some of the older kids are saying there's no Santa, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, what the fuck are you saying about Santa?
What?
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Can I throw in a quick non sequitur? Unless you were going
That's
to
exactly what this show is all about.
All right. I want to pull this out here. This just came out. It
Oh, yeah.
is Early Kaiju Fandom. It's
Oh, wow.
published by Bradford Grant Boyle, who actually took up the fanzine Japanese Giants after I published the first issue. But what this is, it reproduces all these fanzines, the monster fanzines out of the 70s. And it includes like every single page. Like my first fanzine that I did at age 14 was Japanese
wow.
Giants
Nice.
and 1974. And it literally has, every page with all the crappy stuff in there. But if you're it's on Amazon. This is volume 3. He's got 3 of them out with all this fanzine stuff. But if you are a diehard Godzilla fan, especially the 1960s and 70s era stuff, this is for you.
Nice.
Nice.
And it's on sale on Amazon for 25% off right now. It is
True.
Yeah, it looks so good. I'm ordering it right now.
Yeah. And
What was the title?
the Early Kaiju Fandom, this is volume 3. And the art, the Godzilla is by Bill Goodmanson, circa 1978. He was my roommate in Chicago for several years.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, I know some of y'all are keen on Godzilla, and that's just really Godzilla geek stuff right there.
Did someone say Godzilla?
Yeah.
Oops, I still got.
Why, yes.
Ah, there we go. Oh, wait, and also, just see, no, hang on. Wait, oh, there he is. Oh, no, wait, hang on, his arm fell off.
Whoops.
What
So
about-
easily undone.
When's the
He
next
is.
Godzilla
He's a
minus
little-
one movie?
Whenever Lincoln's on, it always turns into like Godzilla show and tell.
Look, there's new teeny Godzilla.
oh,
Look,
that's
he's, yeah.
So
Is
cute.
that
He's a will
is that
guy.
part of a set? There's a set of those
It-
with all the different monsters about that size.
Maybe I got him in a little package a friend got for me from Japan. And then putting these spines on here on the
Oh, yeah,
back,
yeah.
like I nearly lost my mind. And then his arm fell.
So when's the next Godzilla minus one movie coming out?
That's a good
I don't know. He's
question.
supposed to. He is making a new
Yeah.
one. It's supposed to
Yeah,
have
there's
another
talk
monster
with
in it.
Hedra, the smog monster.
I am.
That's
I
his
am
favorite
not.
monster.
I am not a big Godzilla fan like you guys.
See, I think
but
my
that movie was incredibly good.
My Hedra is
Yeah.
in the other room. Oh no, I've got one right here.
Did you see it in the
Oops.
theater, Mike, or did
Yeah,
you
I
see it
saw
at
it in
home?
the theater.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
best.
that's cool.
Nice.
Well, it's weird, right? Because the Godzilla versus the Smog Monster is in a lot of ways like it's not the strongest of the original Godzilla.
No.
But given what he did in Godzilla -1 with the Godzilla figure, what he could do with this sort of pollution monster is actually kind of interesting to me now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh well, maybe this would be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
the original Smog Monster was probably at the same time the silliest of the Godzillas, and yet the darkest
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Godzillas. I mean, it went from totally grotesque and brutal to just mind-numbingly silly.
Right, because the Smog Monster flies over people and they just
Yeah.
sort of spontaneously
they-
die and decompose.
Yeah, and they show it pretty graphically
Yeah.
too.
It's like, here, kids, here's pollution.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. This is what it made me think of.
I do want to mention real quick that this book, I can't see it. This book by John Connolly, the Caxton Private Lending Library and Book Depository is, or at least it was yesterday, only $1.99, and it's a really, really cool idea. And I think he's done it in other books. Yeah, I think he did it in his second collection. There was a story in there, but well, let me just read this. A voracious reader, Mr. Berger leads a solitary but satisfying life, preferring the company of books to that of people. I just described all of us. He's looking forward to an early retirement in the English countryside, where he can spend his remaining years nestled comfortably between the pages of classic literature. But his serene life is disrupted when he witnesses a woman with a distinctive red traveling bag fling herself before a train. And you get an extra cookie if you can identify her before I read this. If Mr. Berger isn't mistaken, he's just seen the climax of Anna Karenina? Yeah, Karenina, reenacted on the Exeter to Plymouth Railway, though there is no body on the tracks, and the destiny of the tragic victim was written nearly a century before. Mr. Berger still longs to rescue her. The investigation leads him to the Caxton Private Lending Library and Book Depository, where the living, breathing characters of literary invention are under the guardianship of a curious caretaker, and where, for Mr. Berger, the line between fiction and reality will blur beyond comprehension. But he's featured this in at least one other story that I read. It's just a really fun idea, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Of course, I think of, now that I think about it, John and Laird's books. I don't think we want these people milling around, do we? In real life. Not you, your characters.
I was not really sure where you're going with that. I was like, let's see where Davis
I'm not
goes. He's
insulting you.
digging.
I'm
Let's
not
see how
insulting
far
you this
down he
time.
can go before he realizes I should stop digging.
I'm never going to get there. All right. Well, gosh, this has been fun. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Always.
Kelly, good to see you. Yeah, you got a prize.
Yeah. Right. If you want to try and win this collection of art by Oliver Norzier from his comic strip Sandra and Wu, send an email to easyprizes@gmail.com and put Sandra in the subject heading. We'll draw a winner in like 6 or 8 weeks.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Good to see you, Kelly. Thanks for stopping by. John, Matt, and Bridget, Mark, Alan. Thanks, Alan. Thank you for letting me know about the powers of darkness. Huh?
Yeah.
And Mike DeBronzo, who we all overlooked.
I did mention Mike DeBronzo.
It's because Mike's next to me in the basement.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
I feel for the both of you.
Use the safe word, John. Just remember to use the safe word.
Safe words are for
Never remember the
sissies.
safe word. That's the problem.
The safe word is harder.
Oh.
The safe word is hard.
Safe
The
words.
safe word is daddy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Especially thanks to the Patreons for keeping me in business. And we will see you next time. Good night.
Good night, all.
Yay.